government has the resources to continue to give the best in terms of security in this country.
Jangabe abduction. Aviation Minister briefs President Buhari, restates federal government's resolve to end such criminality. A few hours to arrival of first batch of COVID-19 vaccine, federal government rolls out strategy for management.
Vaccines that are not approved by NAFTA will be determined as dangerous and they will be seized by customs and NAFTA.
Head of Service of the Federation inaugurates committee to check irregular recruitment, fraud and sharp practices. Good evening and thanks for joining us on NTA Network News. We are live in Abuja. I am Kenan Ima Aborike. Michael Olaleye joins us from Lagos and Agatha Egberojo from Benin Studio. Let's start from security matters, where the Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, has given further clarifications on the presidential message his delegation delivered to the government and people of Zamfara State following the abduction of the Jangabe schoolgirls. Addressing journalists after an audience with President Muhammadu Buhari, the minister reassures the nation of the unshakable resolve of the federal government towards putting an end to such acts of criminality. He said neither the capacity nor the political will is lacking in the renewed onslaught against crime and the criminal element terrorizing vulnerable Nigerians.
Everything that is humanly possible by any government to put in place to ensure security of lives and property is being put together to ensure that this doesn't happen. Yes, there may be possibility that some people will try to do it to embarrass government, but government has the resources to continue to give the best in terms of security in this country. And we think and we hope, by the special grace of God, that this will be the last that we'll see in this country. We forget so quickly. There has been a time in this country when governance even became terribly impossible. A section of this country is hoisting another flag. We can't go to our churches or mosques. We can't go to schools. We can't go about doing our normal businesses. This issue of insecurity and the bombings that we have seen started right here at the center of Abuja. There were moments when there are security checkpoints everywhere you go. They bombed the Central Mosque of Kano. 1,000 people died. Those are things of the past. Is government committed? Truly it is committed. Don't forget, the present president could be a civilian president, but he's a true commander-in-chief. And he had been there before. And he's doing his best. And I am sure if you'll do justice to the government, you say it is doing much better than it was before.
You are in Zamfara State as leader of federal government delegation. You have heard from the government and people of Zamfara State. What message have you brought back to the president?
Well, the message we brought back to the president that the government and people of Zamfara are very appreciative of the efforts that Mr. President is doing, including all of the things that the president had done towards Zamfara. The governor said also he has unfettered access to Mr. President, and Mr. President has always given him a listening ear, and they have helped him in so many ways in reaching out to a peaceful coexistence of his people. So he's very, very glad and he's very happy. He asked us to greet Mr. President and tell Mr. President that he should count him as a partner in this challenge.
Meanwhile, as Zamfara state government refused the recently circulated story on the purported release of kidnapped GGSS Jangabe students, anxiety has continued to rise amongst families of the abductees. Sadia Abubakar Tunaru takes a look at the current mood in Jangabe community.
Jangabe is one of the major districts in Talata Mafra local government area of Zamfara state, whose population is largely Hausa, with farming as their major occupation. The last week Friday abduction of more than 300 students at the only government girls science secondary school in the area has thrown people in the town and environs, especially families of the abductees, in a serious state of mourning. Some parents of the abducted girls have relocated to the school as they wait anxiously for the release of their wards.
My children is 4, yes, but I found one of them. but the 3 of them have been police bandits. We wanted the governor of Zamfara State to help and try his best to rescue our children.
Under some situation, myself and my entire family of these children that have been abducted.
Some students of the college narrated how they narrowly escaped the abduction, as they also look forward to seeing the release of their colleagues soonest.
They came in a large number, wearing military uniforms. They asked us to wake up and come out for morning prayer. When we hurriedly came out, they asked us to join a queue of students from some other hostels. So I managed to pull out of the queue and lay down in a nearby culvert and later sneak into the toilet. I came out after they had left. I am seriously terrified by the incident.
Meanwhile, Governor Bello Mohammed had, while receiving Zamfara State Council of Chiefs on a sympathy visit to Government House Gusau over the said event, said significant progress has been made in the effort to safely rescue the abductees. Earlier, the Zamfara State Police Command had dispatched 2 surveillance helicopters to reinforce ground troops around the areas where the abducted girls are believed to have been held hostage. In Gusau, Sadia Abubakar Tuno, NTA News.
Now, Sokoto State Government has directed the closure of all boarding secondary schools except those in the state capital. Dalhatu Abdullahi reports that patrol vehicles were also presented to the police to enhance security in the state.
The session followed a brief presentation by Commissioner for Basic and Secondary Education and the Director of Science and Technology, as well as for Religious Affairs, on the security situation of the boarding schools outside the Sokoto metropolis. The Security Council had deliberated on the report and consequently agreed to close down the schools for a period of 1 week to further enable the Security Council review the security situation and put necessary measures in place. During the temporary closure, students and teachers will be relocated to their respective areas to continue with teaching and learning in their schools.
Studies of our children must not be disrupted by these evil-minded people. Their objective is clear to us, and so we must meet them and ensure that they do not succeed.
Meanwhile, Governor Aminu Waziri Tambol has launched the second phase of the Operation Puff Adder in the state, aimed at providing adequate security in areas being overwhelmed by the activities of armed bandits. 15 patrol vans were provided by the Sokoto State Government out of the 25 intended to enhance the police operations in the worst affected areas by banditry in the state.
The force will not rest on its horse in its commitment of dominating and reclaiming the public space.
The operation will be concentrated in Sokoto East Senatorial District. In Sokoto, Dalhatu Abdullahi, NTA News.
Away from security matters now, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has charged participants of the Senior Executive Course 43 at the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, KURU, to provide practical guides that will address policy implementation in Nigeria. He gave the charge after the inauguration of the participants. Cameron Canning-Ladoja reports.
Addressing the Senior Executive Course 43 via Zoom, the Vice President describes NIPS as the foremost policy think tank, urging participants to come up with practical ideas to tackle the challenge of policy implementation in Nigeria.
But with this privilege comes an enormous responsibility. It is that of realizing that from this stage, the task of finding solutions to our national and social problems that could affect the trajectory of the lives of millions has been placed upon your shoulders.
While enumerating issues affecting proper implementation of policies in the country, Plateau State Governor urged the participants to place national aspirations above tribe and creed.
For us to change this trajectory and get things done, we must make a radical shift where policies with timelines will be faithfully adhered to.
The course is specially designed to ensure full and active participation through individual exercises and group work.
A minute's silence was observed in honor of the former Director General of NIPS, late Professor Habu Galadima. In Jos, Cameron Canning-Ladoja, NTA News.
Let's talk health now. The federal government has rolled out COVID-19 vaccine strategy ahead of the 4 million doses expected to arrive the country in a few hours. Tagged TEACH. The strategy will ensure accurate database for tracking and tracing by NAFDAC, as well as opportunity to follow up in case of reactions and adverse effect. Basi Taiban has the report.
TEACH is an acronym for the COVID-19 vaccine rollout strategy that adopts traditional approach to vaccination, uses electronic and assisted registration for eligible Nigerians. It also has provision for house-to-house registration, make the vaccine accessible to those who do not have internet access. The TEACH strategy also has phases for vaccination in the country, beginning with the frontline workers and elderly above 50 years with underlying health problems. The president, vice presidents with state governors, and ministers will also be vaccinated in the first phase to assure Nigerians of safety of the vaccines.
We feel that with the collaboration that exists between the national and the subnational level, we'll be able to roll out these vaccines in a way that will be testament to the resources, both human and material, that exist within the Nigerian polity.
This is not a time to work at cross purposes. It is not a time to be making private or parallel arrangements for vaccine procurement or vaccine administration. This will only disorganize what has been so carefully planned out and create chaos. Vaccines that are not approved by NAFDAC will be determined as dangerous and they will be seized by customs and NAFDAC.
State and local governments with higher disease burden will follow before the rest of the population will be vaccinated. Experts, however, advise that vaccination alone is not enough to stop the spread of the virus, but that Nigerians should continue to adhere to safety protocols. Basi Taipang, NTA News.
Dr. Faisal Shuaib, Executive Secretary, National Primary Health Development Agency, now joins us for some discussions on the matter. You're welcome to Network News.
Thank you for having me.
What is TEACH?
So the TEACH strategy, TEACH is actually an acronym that seeks to describe how we've been able to engage with the third world and the first world in terms of getting strategies, looking at how developed countries have rolled out their COVID-19 vaccination program and contextualizing this within the Nigerian environment, so that on the one hand we're using first-line, frontline technology, but at the same time we're not letting go of the fact that we have so many years of experience with the polio eradication program, with several campaigns. We now have a lot of experience around how to roll out vaccination campaigns. So with the TEACH strategy, we have opportunities for Nigerians to self-register. They will be able to schedule them so that they know exactly when they will come to the health facility. This will reduce overcrowding in the health facilities. Then they will also be able to schedule when they get the first doses, the second doses. It also helps us identify which are the frontline health workers and then those that have comorbidities, because some of these data are not readily available. But because of the electronic way of registering, we're able to get this information, and then we're also able to roll out these campaigns, making sure that it's not just people in the urban areas that have access, but people in the last mile, people in the riverine areas, in the Sahara, in the deserts are able to also have access, because we'll have not only fixed sites, but temporary fixed sites and also mobile teams that go from one settlement to settlement. So it's really a hybrid of strategies. But what really excites us about this strategy is the fact that even after this crisis, we've been able to develop the opportunity to transition it into our routine immunization system, so that we'll have an electronic database where every kid, every child in Nigeria will be within the database, and we'll be able to make sure that we track their access to routine immunization vaccines.
So as the nation expects the first consignment of COVID-19 vaccine tomorrow, that is Tuesday, when will the administration proper begin?
So when the vaccine arrives tomorrow, Usually NAFDAC will take about 2 days. They'll take samples of the vaccine, do some checks, again confirm that these vaccines are exactly the vaccines that they've approved, they're safe and they're going to be effective. And then by Friday, we're going to launch, by Friday this week, we're going to launch the vaccines at the National Hospital, targeting the frontline health workers who, for the last 1 year, they've been in the front line, providing clinical services to patients with COVID-19. These are the people that are most at risk, and Mr. President has been very clear in saying that those are exactly the first line of people that should get the vaccine. They have sacrificed so much for us, and it is only morally right that we make sure that they're the first group of people that will get the vaccines. Okay, now the vaccination we hear or learn will be in phases. Tell us about the categories. Right, so what we've done is to prioritize the population, because the vaccines will be coming in batches, right? So with the first 4 million doses that is coming, we're going to be prioritizing the frontline health workers, their support staff, so people that clean, people that do the laundry, people that, also manage some of the non-clinical aspects. We're going to be looking at the strategic leadership. So somebody like President Muhammadu Buhari, the Vice President himself, will be among the people that will also take the vaccines, just to certify and validate to all Nigerians that the vaccines are safe and effective. So those are sort of the first line of people in the first phase that are going to be given the vaccine. Then in the second phase, we're going to be looking at those who are elderly. Again, we know that those who are elderly are likely to fare worse if they contract the disease. Then we'll be looking at those that in phase 3, we'll be looking at those that have underlying diseases, so those that have comorbidity like hypertension, like liver disease, and then finally the rest of the group. But we'll be targeting people that are 18 and over in the different phases. Well, wish you good luck. Thank you very much. And thank you for coming on the news tonight. It's been my pleasure. We'll be talking with Dr. Faisal Shuaib, the Executive Secretary, National Primary Health Development Agency. Now, let's also tell you that Nigeria is set to receive the first dose of vaccine against COVID-19, expected to arrive the country on Tuesday, March 2, 2021. The Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 at Monday's briefing reviewed the last 1 year of national management of the pandemic and solicited more support and cooperation of all Nigerians to stop the virus. Details in our subsequent bulletin. Time for our first break on the news. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. The head of service of the Federation, Dr. Folashade Yemiaso, has inaugurated a committee on the enrollment of newly employed civil servants into the Integrated Personnel and Payroll Information System, IPPIS. Dr. Yemiaso said the committee becomes necessary to stem the wanton impunity, sharp practices and fraud in the service. She disclosed that a large number of fake appointment letters were being discovered in some ministries, which, if not properly addressed, would lead to the denial of employment to a great number of prospective and eligible law-abiding job seekers in the country.
Appointment circulating in ministries. For example, last year alone, the Federal Ministry of Information identified over 1,000 individuals bearing fake letters of appointment. It's good for us to note that this office is working with security agencies to look at this matter.
The 6-member committee has 12 terms of reference. Just like yesterday, the clock has again turned around to another March when the International Women's Day is observed. This year is, however, focusing on celebrating every woman's right and zero tolerance to discrimination and inequality. Momso Davian Dati has more on this.
Diverse groups of women and international partners rubbing minds ahead of this year's International Women's Day.
Because of the trauma, the young ladies,
the creation of an inclusive world.
Say no to gender-based inequality.
I choose to challenge women leadership in sustainable development.
Though the message for this year revolves around issues of discrimination, inequality and lack of respect for women's rights. There is, however, an ugly phenomenon threatening the women folk.
About 1,157 students have been kidnapped in 7 years. This is unbelievable and we must not stay silent anymore. We owe it to our children to push until something happens. Yes, my heart is torn into pieces at the mindlessness of the perpetrators of this crime against humanity. We are appealing to our leaders at all levels to pay attention to the infrastructural development and security of our schools.
This year, the theme for the event is Zero Discrimination. In Abuja, Momso Damien Ati, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari rejoices with prominent Lagos politician and mother of Speaker of the House of Representatives, Alhaja Latifat Olufunke Wajabiamila, as she turns 91. President Buhari felicitates with the United Kingdom trained nurse who, after her foray into politics, became the first elected female local government chairman in Lagos State under the Lateef Jakonde administration. President Buhari greets her family, political associates and well-wishers, noting that Mama Wajabiamila has served Lagos State and the country well, having been for many years a member of the Federal and State Muslim Pilgrims Welfare Board. He commends Alhaja Wajabiamila's piety to all and sundry, as she is a foremost leader in the Ansaruddin Society of Nigeria, which pedestals her as an accomplished person in the spiritual realm, along with successes on the professional and political front. President Buhari wishes the non-Nigerian greater joy and good health, praying that she will continue to rejoice in her children, among whom is Mr. Femi Wajabiamila, Speaker, House of Representatives. Similarly, the Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives, Ahmed Idris Wase, has congratulated the mother of the Speaker, Alhaja Latifat Wajabiamila, as she clocks 91. In a message by his Chief Press Secretary, Umaru Puma, the Deputy Speaker noted her contributions to political development in Lagos and the country as a whole, being among the first set of women to hold political office in Nigeria. He prayed Allah to grant her good health and long life to enable the younger generation to benefit from her wisdom and wealth of experience. Television and online viewers interested in indigenous contents are in for a treat following the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the Nigerian Television Authority and Akika Media Limited. Omenka Amarachuku reports.
With the signing of these dotted lines, a new chapter is about to open in local content development and production to fill the gap in that regard. Being the first and largest television network, which also cut the umbilical cord for the Nollywood, NTA still remains the station to beat in local content, and this the Akika Media Organization wants to leverage on to give Nigerians and global audience interested in Nigerian content.
We need to exploit the potential. A potential that is not exploited is as good as having nothing. But NTA, I'm amazed, has so much. And like the last time when I was here, you have, out of intuition, laid the foundation.
Director General of Nigerian Television Authority Yakubu Ibn Muhammad is optimistic that MOU will give value to the teeming audience who wants genuine, interesting and compelling contents.
In the past, we used to have yearly competitions amongst NTA stations, tagged Telefest, and the productions were very high quality, like you rightly pointed out, Nigeria is a very diverse country with different cultures and so on and so forth. And in every state capital, we have an NTA station.
The impact of the partnership is expected to manifest in the near future as both parties stated their commitments to deliver. In Abuja, Umenka Marchuku, NTA News.
Gender-based violence, NLC creates awareness among traders. Details of these, Michael will be guiding us. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Kene. The Federal Ministry of Works and Housing has begun the reclamation of the right-of-way as the Ladipo market from traders that have taken over the roads along the Apapa Oshodi Oworo Shoki Expressway in Lagos. Dr. Ogunyemi reports that the move follows series of eviction notices ignored by the unions.
On the 14th of January 2021, Minister of Works and Housing Babatunde Fashola visited Lagos to inspect the damaged airport link bridge following a tanker fire incident. The minister during the visit issued a 2-week notice to traders illegally occupying the right-of-way at Ladipo along the Apapa-Oshodi-Onoshoki Expressway. 6 weeks after, this enforcement became necessary following a series of meetings between leadership of the market unions and the Federal Controller of Works to get them to comply with yet another eviction notice issued by the Lagos State Task Force, which expired on the 10th of February.
And that's why the task force was invited to come here and do the clearing of all the shanties so that we will be able to do our work on the service lane as well as to beautify the right-of-way.
To ensure compliance, the contractors have mobilized to site to erect barriers. The Federal Controller of Works urges anyone or organizations interested in beautifying the right-of-way located close to their businesses to seek approval from the ministry. In Lagos, Dotun Ogunyemi, NTA News.
As the fight against gender-based violence and sexual harassment continues, actions have been put in place to ensure total eradication. The Nigerian Labour Congress is championing this cause through a 3-day training and sensitization campaign for traders. Dana Jali reports.
This is my 12th international market, one of the major foodstuff markets located in Koshofe local government area of the Lagos metropolis. Here, consumers can find all kinds of food items at a cheaper rate, which comes in directly from various parts of Nigeria. Aside buying and selling, other negative activities such as rape, gender-based violence also take place within the market environment.
Somebody wanted to buy your market and you are holding that person. You are harassing him.
To the Nigerian Labour Congress, training of specific members to handle such cases within the market environment as well as public sensitization is key to curbing the menace.
We want to have a free society where everybody will be free and where they will have a gender violence free society where they can actually sell and buy in an environment that you have eliminated gender-based violence and harassment.
We are going to create awareness in all the sections and all the stakeholders in the market, and we spread the information.
There is absolutely no reason why anybody should embarrass anybody because of dressing.
The union, however, advise victims to always speak out, as stiff penalty will be meted on perpetrators of all forms of violence and sexual harassment. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
This is NTA Network News. More reports with Kenne shortly after this break. Please stay tuned.
Thank you for staying with us. World Trade Organization chief calls for technology transfers and more vaccine plans in developing countries as Nigerian stock markets reverse losing streak to begin the week on a strong footing. Let's join Musa Abubakar for details. How are you tonight?
Good, okay. Well, the World Trade Organization's new Director General Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala resumed this Monday and says the trade body needs to work with companies to open up more manufacturing sites for COVID-19 vaccine in developing countries. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala was speaking to the WTO's 164 members at a meeting in her first day in the job. She expressed concern on how people are dying in poor countries, urging members to focus on working with companies to open up and license more viable manufacturing sites in emerging markets and developing countries. Now, the Nigerian Stock Exchange closed today's session on a positive territory, and the CEO share index declined 0.33% at 39,931.63 points. 543.9 million shares valued at 1.8 billion naira were traded in 4,673 deals, and market capitalization at 20.8 trillion naira. Nemo Bank, Zenith Bank, and Transcorp are the most active shares after the day's transaction. Well, that's business news. It's back to you, Kenna.
Thank you very much, Musa. Queues have returned to major gas stations in the Federal Capital Territory and its environs following artificial fuel scarcity occasioned by fuel marketers in anticipation of hike in price. Charles Alpha has the situation report.
From every turn to major highways in some parts of the Federal Capital Territory are long queues of vehicles waiting patiently to buy fuel. While some fear it may never get to them because of the stretch of the queue, others lament the inconveniences the situation is causing them.
Since morning I've been here so that I can pick my children from school. Since 7 o'clock I'm just getting here. At what time? At 12:22.
Some filling stations, if you go there, they say they don't have the fuel. Some filling stations, they don't want to sell.
Even the little one I had now, it was a machine guy that sold it to me. This is not up to 2 liters. I bought it 2,000 naira.
The situation has opened up opportunities for black marketers to sell the product at very high prices. Meanwhile, the Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, has warned that sanctions will be taken against any filling station holding or selling above the approved pump price.
Any station we are saying that is not selling petroleum product and is holding is going to be punished accordingly. We have enough product. All the depots are trucking out all the product we have. So we're ensuring the country that will have enough product.
The DPR urged fuel marketers not to engage in arbitrary hike in prices or fuel holding that could inflict hardship on Nigerians. In Abuja, Charles Alpha, NTA News.
Let's also tell you that at least 7,500 persons of concern are to benefit from the federal government's care and maintenance support items in Kano State. Federal Commissioner, National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, Bashir Garba Muhammad, disclosed this during the flag-off of the distribution exercise in the state. Abdullahi Mustafa has the details.
Abdul Ibrahim has been on a wheelchair for the past 20 years due to spinal injury. He is one of the 1,500 breadwinners targeted for the distribution of care and maintenance items by the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons. Each household is given food items, mattresses and other essential needs.
The variety of food and non-food items given out today is targeted for 1,500 households, representing 7,500 displaced persons in support of your ongoing interventions.
This, according to the Refugees Commission, is part of President Muhammadu Buhari's initiative of improving the well-being of disadvantaged Nigerians. Another support is of an empowerment program for 1 million IDPs, under which more than 50 vocational skills are to be taught to the beneficiaries and starter packs given to each. Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, who enumerated the various interventions, presented land certificate to the Federal Commissioner to fast-track the construction of 500 resettlement estates in the state by the federal government.
I'm happy to see the beneficiaries, in thousands of them, who are happy and waiting to be provided with these items.
Abdul Ibrahim and representatives of various categories of beneficiaries expressed gratitude to the federal government for the gesture. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
The right leadership always translates to infrastructural and human capital development. This, a former governor of Cross River State, Donald Duke, has adduced for the milestones of Governor Nyesom Wike in Rivers State. He was speaking at the inauguration of the Okoraduadu flyover bridge in Port Harcourt. Ogedi Yekwere completes the report.
Okoronodo is one of the flyover bridges flagged off simultaneously by the Rivers State government in October 2019, with a promise to complete the 3 of them in 16 months. With the inauguration of one of the flyovers last year November and the inauguration of Okoronodo today and the third one subsequently on Wednesday, Rivers State government has made good its promise by completing the projects within 14 months, 2 months ahead of the stipulated time. The attendant traffic bottleneck around Rumokoro will be a thing of the past.
Our people don't deserve the least, they deserve the best, and that is why I will do everything I can to give them the best.
Former Governor of Cross River State, Donald Duke, enjoined the people to take ownership of the project.
Today, we're celebrating many things. The development of a community, the prosperity that will be brought into the community, leaving the community better than he met it, and of course, we're saying thank you.
The Okoronodo flyover bridge measures 642.75 meters long, 360 meters being the suspended section. The transition area measures 236.8 meters with street lights, amongst other features that make the bridge good for the motoring public. In Port Harcourt, Ogedinyekwere, NTA News.
And talking judicial matters now, the former Director General of the Bureau of Public Enterprises, Benjamin Odiki, has been arraigned by the EFCC at the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, for his alleged involvement in corruption and abuse of office while in charge of the BPE. He was arraigned on a 4-count charge of receiving 1 billion naira bribe from a company, Best Wealth Insurance Brokers, in 2015 to facilitate the insurance claims of deceased and incapacitated staff of defunct Power Holders Company of Nigeria. The presiding judge, Justice Yusuf Halilu, has remanded the defendant at the Suleja Correctional Center until March 3, when hearing on the bail application of the defendant comes up. Farmers and herders in Delta State commit to peaceful coexistence. Agatha is standing by in Benin studio.
Thank you, Kenneth. Thank you for joining us in Benin. Delta State Commissioner of Police, Ari Muhammad Ali, has taken steps to ensure that peaceful coexistence between farmers and herders in the state is sustained. At an interactive meeting, both parties made their case before the commissioner. Rosemary Omani reports that Governor Fanyo Kowa was represented by the Director General on Security Matters in Delta State.
In recent times, there have been clashes between herders and farmers in various parts of the country that led to loss of lives and property. In a bid to avoid such occurrences under his watch, the Commissioner of Police, Ari Muhammad Ali, decided to bring the state government, police, herdsmen and farmers together to dialogue. Both the cattle rearers and farmers reviewed their grievances.
Everybody is important in this business. We are all part of the problem. Having listened to all the issues raised. So many of us here, seated right here, are collaborators.
Solutions were proffered, leading to applause. Interactive session, which held at the premises of the police officers' mess in Okwe, was well attended by police officers, herders, farmers, and other stakeholders. In Asaba, I am Rosemary Omani, NTA News.
Now to education, to reduce the number of school dropouts and make basic education accessible to every Edo child in Edo, irrespective of the social status of parents, Governor Godwin Obaseki has launched a Let's Go to School campaign. A Parents First program was also set in motion to encourage them to be actively involved in the learning process of their children. Elizabeth Omoko has the report.
At a time where there is high rate of insecurity as a result of criminal activities in the country, Governor Obaseki is worried and is meeting with parents and representatives of several sectors in the state, including policy planners, to get feedbacks from the stakeholders, strategize and further collaborate with each community in the upbringing and education of their Edo child.
We will be advocating that the number of lessons should be reduced per day so that slow learners can come up.
What are the plans of government in ensuring adequate security
to protect these schools from vandals.
Announcing the school enrollment drive, Governor Basaki called for concerted effort in reaching out and identifying out of school children for enrollment.
All parents shall henceforth take the lead as the major stakeholders, and as I formally declare Parents First campaign launched this first day of March 2021.
One crucial point was the presentation of essential school items to over 10 children that were picked in the streets during school hours. In Benin, Elizabeth Omako, NTA News.
And that's it from here. Kene, it's back to you.
Thank you, Agatha. We do have one more commercial break on the news. Do stay. Team Nigeria tipped to excel at African Nations Volleyball Championships in Abuja. Tamara Ebiwe brings us details on Sports Update.
Welcome to Sports Update. With hostilities set to begin in the 2021 Under-18 Girls and Under-19 Boys African Nations Volleyball Championships in Abuja on Thursday, the Nigeria Volleyball Federation expresses optimism in the ability of the nation's representatives to excel in the week-long tournament en route to the World Cups.
Oh, definitely we have to go up. We want to defend our position on the 19. And my expectation is that my girls also, they should go up. No more position 4. But I want to see them in the first 2 so that they can go to Mexico for Under-18 World Championship and Iran Under-19 World Championship. I want to see Nigeria participating.
In football, action continues in the Premier League this week, with Manchester City awaiting Wolves at the Etihad on Tuesday. On Wednesday, Burnley welcomes Leicester City, Aston Villa visits Sheffield United, and Crystal Palace host Manchester United, while on Thursday, West Brom and Everton square off, and Liverpool clash with Chelsea. Finally, in tennis, Novak Djokovic has equaled Roger Federer's record of 310 weeks, ranked as world #1, and will be guaranteed to break the mark next week. The 33-year-old Serbian won his 18th Grand Slam title and his 9th Australian Open crown in Melbourne last month. His victory in Melbourne takes him to 2 wins behind the joint holders of the men's Grand Slam record, Federer and Rafael Nadal. And that's Sports Update. I am Tamara Ebiwe.
The death has been announced of Mr. Augustine Ofanagoro of Amibo, Wangele, local government area of Imo State, aged 79. Mr. Augustine Ofanagoro had a brilliant career in financial management. He was a capital market icon, former council member and fellow of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers, and also one-time managing director of Stan World Securities Limited. He is survived by a wife, son, and other members of the family, including Dr. Walter Ofanagoro, a former Director General of NTA and Minister of Information and Culture. Now a look at tomorrow's weather report.
Thanks for joining us. With the increase in temperature coupled with the available moisture over the southern region, we expect cloud buildup, which will give rise to isolated rain showers over parts of Calabar, Port Harcourt, Eket, Owerri and Bayelsa states, while residents of the inland cities of the south are expected to see some form of haziness as the day progresses. To the central region, sunny and hazy conditions are expected to prevail, while up north, including parts of Abuja and Niger states, are expected to be in dust haze, with visibility ranging from 2 to 5 kilometers, although few stations are likely to record visibility below 1,000 meters. Now let's see the temperature forecast. I remain Joyce Ogunleye.
That concludes NTA Network News tonight. Thanks indeed for watching. My name is Kenen Ima Aborike. Do have a good night.